So Desert Dry Waterproofing completed the installation today. I'm going to go over what was done today, and then in the final installment of this series, I'll give my final thoughts over the project as a whole. The 4-inch drain pipe and the trenches were covered with the stone and leveled off. The sump pump was installed, and a layer of cement was placed over the stone. So we're at the completion of the project on day 3. The trench was cemented over. You can see the drain that's installed. You can see the lip of that backing, and you can see a gap between the wall of the basement and that backing, so that should water enter from higher up, say a window or whatever, and run down the wall, it will run behind the backing and go into the French drain. So we'll follow it around. This is the sump pump. Now these drains were installed on either side of the finished part of the basement, which constitutes 1/2 of one of the walls. We didn't want to tear the finished part up, and since it only constituted 1/2 of one wall, and because the floor is elevated because it's tile, elevated maybe a 1/2 inch or so, what I expect will happen is any water that accumulates will run alongside the tile into these corners and either go into the drain, or what they did was they extended the backing around, which will also provide a secondary drain for any water, should it come in, to run into the drain. The sump pump itself provides an additional drain should water come in. You see they plug the pump in, and the discharge pipe going out the wall, and that has been mortared in. I also expect that the groundwater will seek the lowest point, and since the rest of the house is drained by the French drain, water that accumulates up against the front of the house will drain to the sides of it to at least some extent, and that should help that somewhat, but time will tell. This is the other drain that was installed. If it turns out that we also need to install a French drain in the finished section of the basement, then we can simply extend the existing one through there, and it will be like an add-on project in the event it's necessary. I'm betting that it will not be necessary. The discharge pipe exits the wall, and it's buried under the mulch. You can see it emerge here, and it will drain out right on here on the edge of the driveway, and then run down the driveway like the water does from the regular downspout. I requested an alarm for the contingency of a pump failure for whatever reason. I'll review this alarm in more detail in a separate video at a later date.